Speaking of girl drama, we've been watching Bachelor of Paradise marathon, me and Livy.
Man, not 2 weeks in a row, Bachelor in Paradise. Cut it out, Ben. Cut it out. Cut it out. Sorry, we're a little bit late, but technology can kiss my you know what. I don't know why. I had everything set up perfectly. These gentlemen were on time. We were all ready to rock and roll. And then my camera wasn't working. And I know how much all of you love to see my face. So I said, damn, I got to figure that out. Here's what I'm telling you. I found a new beer tonight. It's called Idiot Farm.
Oh, perfect for you.
Yes, it's very good for me and this group of 4 gentlemen. It's an Imperial India Pale Ale from Carbon 4, and it's 8.4%. Eric Dahl, so suck that.
There you go.
Suck that. What are you guys drinking tonight, Bruce?
I'm drinking my go-to Crown. I got to do it.
Nice.
I got some gin in one hand, and I have a Surly Furious in the other for later.
Wow. Ben. I didn't realize that shirt was still in existence.
What shirt?
The one you're wearing. How old is that shirt?
The shirt's ain't that old.
It's not? I thought that was an old one. Or is that a newer one?
Eckes' shirt. He's all excited about his shirt.
Moss sucks.
All right. Let's see it. What's your shirt? Oh, that's nice. And Bruce wore a special jersey.
We're talking wide receivers.
Oh, baby.
I'm going to pretend that's a Johnny Holland jersey, Bruce.
There you go, Johnny.
100%.
I
Johnny
look
Holland.
like Johnny Holland, I'll tell you that.
What do you mean you don't got a flat top?
Yeah.
Johnny Holland had a killer flat top.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to be delaying all night. This is going to stink.
That's okay. Then we can be prepared for all your swears when we talk about the receiver group and all the problems. Hey, one thing. It got really dicey there, guys. I had to make Ben the host of the meeting for temporarily, and that was pretty scary, even though it only lasted a few minutes. But we survived that. We're back on track. Here we are. Welcome to Brews and Bros number 20. We hope that as we become more focused leading up to the beginning of the season here, you'll enjoy these even more. And again, as I've said before, and I think I put that maybe I didn't put that in the post, but if the show isn't seeming very good, it means you're not drinking enough. So again, the more you drink, the better this show will be. So it's up to you as well. All right. And then chime in the chat too. Tonight, we're going to talk some receivers and tight ends and dig into that in a little bit. But first off, a couple of things, some recent news. The first 2 games at Lambeau will have no fans. The Packers announced that just recently. So that was something. A lot of interviews this week with people that we were going to talk about the O-line and D-line. And so it would have been matched up really well with the interviews this week. But then our guard, offensive guard, and defensive tackle specialist, Eric Dahl, was not available to be on this week's show. So we had to scrap that to next week and go wide receiver, tight end. And you know how much Rick wants to talk about offensive guards. So damn it, we got to wait till he's ready to do that. So that's how it has to go. So that's next week. But we'll get into that. But some cool interviews out there. Zadarius, I think, was on today. Heard from Rick Wagner. Number of guys. Corey Lindsley, one of Ben's faves. And other people talked this week too. Of course, Matt LaFleur, way too much of him. And I did revisit some Brian Gutekunst quotes and things he said about the draft. I'm still perplexed on. We'll bring those up later too. But there is a beef. There's a beef tonight. And it comes from these 2 guests. Where's the beef? Bruce and Eckes, tell everybody about your beef.
Well, Bruce started it. Go for it.
Yep.
Oh, you mean what I sent? You mean, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well,
you guys were, it was like messenger rant kind of, but it was private, so it wasn't as exciting. So
it's like a damn book. I didn't have time to read all that crap.
Let's make it public.
Well, I'm on a Packer blog, and there's some of these guys have been coaches and stuff like that. They know their football, so I wanted to post some stuff from them, and it's kind of my feelings on this, on the draft and what happened. And it's just kind of amazing how, when you look at it, how they moved up to take Love when ultimately, I think they could have waited until, first of all, they could have stayed where they were to get Love. But second of all, when you look at it and say, well, why did they draft a quarterback when, you have one of the best quarterbacks in the league yet, in my opinion? I mean, at least in the top 10, right? I mean, am I going to say he's, number one or number two or number three? I don't want to necessarily say that at this point, but he's still in the top 10. And, you went to the NFC Championship game. Yeah, there was a little bit of luck and not as many injuries, but at the same time, that's what happens on years that you go to the Super Bowl and win it anyway. So the thing is it's interesting how when they did that, they could have, drafted a defensive line at the end of the first round. They could have kept that 4th round pick, and they could have gotten, possibly a receiver in the 2nd round, as well as still gotten Dylan and whatever the heck the guy's name is, the tight end. I don't even know, Delegro or whatever his name is. I seriously don't even know the guy. I've done a little bit of research on him, but I don't know how to pronounce his name. But the point is they could have gotten them in the 3rd and 4th rounds instead of the 2nd and 3rd rounds. So ultimately they could have had the same draft, but they could have also helped Aaron Rodgers, which they decided not to do. And when you look at it, that kind of tells me in 2 years, Mr. Rodgers is gone, because ultimately, we can get the money that a lot of money back that we've given him guaranteed. And also you've also guaranteed all the money, to Love as well. And you're not going to let him sit for 4 years if you're giving him guaranteed money. It doesn't make any sense. So that's kind of my beef. And, I've been upset about this for a while now, but it is what it is. And I just think they're pushing Rodgers out the door. That's my opinion. So.
Holy crap. Hang on, Bruce. I went into the chat for a second here. At first I saw Browner drinking a new brewing Project Brew Jervy juice. A washed up IPA, he says. Oh, Brown, that's nice. And then Bernard Siri says, what's up, guys? Rick, if you missed it, it's Idiot Farm Imperial IPA, and it's 8.4%. So you like that. It's actually pretty damn smooth for being that strong. And then the next guy in the chat, I thought it was Josiah DeGuara. I swear to God, I just glanced at it, but it was Joshua George. It's Joshua George. Josh, I thought you were Josiah DeGuara, as Bruce was not even saying his name right and ripping him. And anyway, so we're safe, Bruce. Josiah DeGuara is not going to attack our show or you. Hey, Josh, how you doing? He wants from you.
I wanted to back up Bruce's point that
go for it.
Even as you guys have brought up in the past, the reason that we have fallen short in the NFC Championship games and in the Super Bowls, we've scored enough points. Even though Rodgers hasn't had crap around him, the defense has given up too many points. And who was sitting there and who did they trade up for? Queen was right there. It looks like they got to the NFC Championship and now they're saying, oh, we're not building to win more right now. We're gonna retool. And I just don't understand that when you're one game away. It doesn't make sense. And it honestly makes me sour on LaFleur and Gutekunst quite a bit. Like, I'd rather see both of them hit the road than Rodgers. And I think that, and Mark Murphy doesn't like that, he can follow. So I wonder, Murphy's been there for a long, long time, and we've been stale and getting so far for a long, long time.
Some would say
make some changes.
Some would say too long. And some would wonder how he's even there in the first place, but he is.
Wonder what the hell he does.
Right. Now I heard, again, with that whole draft stuff, we heard, okay, this is the GM's decision. This is Matt LaFleur's, Matt LaFleur's involved. And then, oh no, it's Gutekunst's decision. It's Gutekunst's decision. And then you heard things like LaFleur say comments like he said this week about, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but it was something like, Aaron's, the important thing is Aaron's our quarterback and I expect him to be here a really long time and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, now nothing's guaranteed in this world, but we expect him to be around for a really long time. Well, then why did they just continue
why didn't you address the need?
Right. They continue to keep putting out quotes and comments that directly conflict with what they did. So again, I don't understand why the Packers want speculation and drama, but that's what between the coach and GM, they're continually creating more of it. So it's totally crazy. Now I have an answer. I'm jumping in now because you guys kind of led me to it, but it was going to come out with the wide receivers anyway. Now this is Brian Gutekunst. This is what he said, Bruce. This is why he didn't take any receivers. Brian Gutekunst, if you recall, said his reasoning for not drafting a wide receiver in the first round was that he doesn't think the wide receiver draft was as good as everyone else in the entire NFL thought.
I agree with him.
Ben's
agree with him.
Ben's not in the NFL, but at least Brian Gutekunst has Ben backing him up. Okay, he's got one. Now, he didn't think it was as great as everyone thought. Then he also said that by the time the Packers got to pick, the receivers they thought were good enough for first round grade were all off the board, including the last one he was highly targeting was apparently Jefferson, which Ben
terrible
did not like
terrible,
Jefferson.
He's not terrible. He's Geronimo Allison. So if you want to draft Geronimo Allison in the first round, go ahead. But I don't.
All right. To make this point further. So that was it. So first of all, okay. So Goody, your only supporter, Ben, is now off board with that comment. Then, okay. So Ayuk was drafted as 25th, right before the Packers picked, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And he was pretty good too.
He was a guy that the Packers don't have.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but they didn't even think he was good enough. Okay. Then he said, when they came up to their second round pick, this is exactly what he said. When they came up to their second round pick, when they looked at the receivers that were left, and this is also the reason they didn't draft a single receiver the whole draft, he did not think any of the receivers left were better than anyone on the Packers roster. None. So here you go. I'm going to name a couple names. Denzel Mims went 27th pick in the second round. He's not better than Malik. Wait, let me pull this up. I'm going to give you a list here. I'm going to screen share. This is going to get fun. Here we go. He's not better than Malik Taylor. He's not better than Darrell Stewart. He's not better than Darius Shepard. He's not better than EQ or MVS. According to Brian Gutekunst, Denzel Mims, not better than he said none of the receivers left would have beaten out anybody that we currently have on our roster.
Okay, when did this quote happen? Was this
happened
yesterday?
After the draft? No.
After the draft.
This was a revisited one that I kind of re-sparked when I watched something with Rob Domofsky, who said that. And I was like, what?
Okay.
And I went back and checked it. And that's what.
But who was on the roster at that point when he said all this? Who was on the roster at that point?
Funchess.
Yeah.
Funchess was there probably.
No, I don't think
all the guys you just mentioned were not on the roster at that point.
Some of them were. Reggie Begleton was.
Yeah.
You like Reggie Begleton?
No, I said he's average at a lot of things. I said he was very productive in the CFL, but he was average.
He's in the CFL for a reason. Sorry.
So I know we like Alan Lazard, and I know we like Devonte, and I know Ekis loves Kumaro, and we like Kumaro too. But you're trying to tell me that these dudes that were drafted late second round, early third round, fourth round are not better than your fifth round pick who's fumbling around and your sixth round pick who's coming off an injury?
Well, once you make the Love pick, then you're all in on the LaFleur train. So then you're getting his tight end and his running back because that's the road you've chosen to go down.
Do you want
getting the help?
Do you want to show the screen share, or is not able?
I
to,
don't know. There's too
keep
many.
going through these
I
receivers.
got too much.
There's a lot of them.
That's fine. I'll let me see if I can pull it up here. I got too many windows for a second, but I'll get it.
Because let me know when you're done, and then I'll tell you the reason why. I
Oh,
agree with what he said.
All right, you and your
Now, I don't
That's
agree with the Jordan Love pick.
loyal to
You can watch our
Gutekunst.
draft reaction to see that. I agree with Eckes, Queen. We all said Queen. We all said, oh my God, they're trading up to get Queen. That's what we all said. That's what we all wanted. And it's what we didn't get. So
You
that
can
I
even
don't
got-
agree with. I do agree with the fact that there's receivers are not there.
All right, I'm trying to get to it. No, not this one. I'll try again. Keep going, Ben. I'm not going to worry about it this time.
Oh,
I'll
I'm
get
done.
the
I
next
mean,
one. So tell me why. How does this make sense to you?
okay, well, what are we in the middle of? What were they in the middle of during the draft? Pandemic. You can't get these guys even in to work on them to know what they're going to do. Are they going to be able to learn the offense? Are they going to be able to have practice with Rodgers? Are they going to be able to learn the position at the NFL level? And I'm telling you, I watched a lot of film receiver because I was excited. Because that's all I heard before the draft. Oh, we got so many great receivers. Oh. And I'm telling you right now, there was not a difference in my mind on a lot of these guys with Mims, who everybody kept saying Mims. And there was another guy too. I can't remember what his name was, but they kept saying him all the time. Jefferson, all these guys, and Aaron Parker, who wasn't even drafted and got signed by the Cowboys as a free agent wide receiver, who's probably not even going to see the field because the Cowboys have so many receivers. But I'm telling you right now, Aaron Parker, I would rather have Aaron Parker than any of the guys drafted in the second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round, sixth round, seventh round. Period. Aaron Parker, look him up. Rhode Island last year. The guy's awesome. He's not super fast, but he does a lot of awesome things. And he's just the same. Like he doesn't have, speed, but he catches almost everything. He's double teamed constantly, and he catches contested catches, stuff like that. You can't say it about Mims and all these other guys. The only guys I thought would be okay, Hamler, Ayuk, you mentioned. Hightower, who was kind of rough, but he was a good punt return, kick return guy, so I liked him. There's those guys who they don't have. A slot like Randall Cobb, Donald Driver type guy who can get open, like Julian Edelman. That's what I wanted. That's all I wanted. They draft a guy like that, I'm okay. And none of those guys, I thought, were first-round talents to be taken in the first round. So I agree with almost everything Gutekunst said there as far as the receivers and not, are you going to bring them in? Are you going to draft a guy in the first round? And you're telling me that Denzel Mims would beat out Lazard, Kumaro, St. Brown, MVS?
Yeah. St. Brown, maybe.
No. He wouldn't beat him out. Those guys are professionals now. They've got 2 or 3 years in the league, all of them. And they know the offense. And they were in it last year. And they know Rodgers. And they know what they want. These guys are rookies. Have you ever seen a rookie wide receiver come in and destroy the league? Even last year. Okay, who did it? Metcalf. And why did Metcalf do so good? Why did he do so good, Eckes? Was it within the flow of the offense? Hell no, it wasn't. It was because Russell Wilson ran around like a crazy guy and then threw it up to Metcalf. And then Metcalf had a whole bunch of yards. It wasn't because he knew the offense and they ran the offense through him and he knew what the hell was going on. And he didn't produce until the second half of the season. Who else had a good year? The guy from the 49ers. I forgot his freaking name now, but I brought him up a bunch of times. And what was he? He was a gadget, Deebo Samuel. He was a gadget guy, movement, motion, all this kind of stuff. And there was specific plays called for him. But did he beat you with route running and understanding the defense and all that kind of stuff? No. It was awesome plays by Shanahan. What I'm telling you is this. Gutekunst looked at it. He said, I like these receivers. These are guys who can be really awesome. They're never going to get to us. There's 3 or 4 guys he liked. Okay. They didn't fall to him. And then I don't agree with what they did, but I agree with him saying none of those receivers would beat out the receivers on the roster at the time he had it. And he did have Funches on the roster at that time. So you're talking, so he's thinking in his mind, okay, these are my guys. And that's what I'm going with. And that's why I agree with everything he said that way. But I don't agree with the Jordan Love, obviously, because I was just dumb. So think about that, right? It's a different time. This quarantine stuff is totally different, man. All these guys, like even like today, you talk about Za'Darius. I watched Za'Darius interview because he's funny and I want to see what was going on with him. And he was talking about how he can't get the guys together this year. And he's like, it sucks. He's like, I want to get the guys together. I want to promote the camaraderie that we had last year. But it's like, we can't get together more than 10 guys outside of this place. And he's like, it's probably not even smart to do it. He's like, we're talking about it as captains and leaders on the team. We're trying to think of ways we can still build some kind of camaraderie. And he's like, we're probably going to have to just do it by position group. And that's it. Because we can't meet more because there's rules in the CBA that says, and in the agreement that we have, that says we can't meet more than 10 guys or 10 to 15 guys can't meet together. So he was like, I don't know, we're going to try to do that to at least build a camaraderie in the room, but we won't be able to do it like we did last year with all the whole team and everything. The other thing he said, changed it just a little bit, that I thought was awesome and funny, and apparently he doesn't pay attention to what's going on outside of, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. He said that he can't wait to retire as a Packer. That's what he said in his interview, and I was kind of like laughing. I was like, "Oh,
Darius.
That's a bad thing to say, Darius, after what's going on with Rodgers right now."
Yeah.
But anyways,
That's
so
the
there you
curse
go.
for
That's
everyone.
my thoughts on the whole Goody Coons wide receiver thing. I don't know
All
if
right.
I've frozen a bunch of times and you didn't hear half the crap I said. I'm sorry if that happened, but I'll shut up for like the next 10 minutes and let you guys, react to that because I think that's what it is.
You just
Okay.
sound kind of weird. It's kind of choppy and breaking up a bit, but it's not really breaking up, but it sounds like interferency. So why don't you step out for a second and rejoin if you can? And then
I think
let's see
maybe
if
Ben's voice is just interferency.
And
or they just know what you're selling is just wrong. And so the internet is like, damn it, no, we can't let this be heard properly. But Ben, no, I think maybe a connection thing, perhaps, if you want to try that. Okay, I'm going to give you some names. I'm going to give you a couple names, okay? These are guys, you tell me in the chat. I want to hear from you. You tell me, these are receivers. Would you have liked the Packers to draft one of these guys instead of passing on all of them and picking Jordan Love? T. Higgins was drafted the first and the second round out of Clemson. Pittman Jr. was second in the second round. Chenault went number 10 in the second round. KJ Hamler went number 14. Chase Claypool went number 17. And Van Jefferson out of Florida went number 25. So those are the guys. All of those guys were there when the Packers selected Jordan Love and would have been there when the Packers would have selected at their regular spot. And Gutekunst said, none of them are good enough. Let me trade a 4th round pick and get this quarterback who's not going to play for a while.
Either they're not good enough, not able to beat out anybody on the current roster is what he said.
No, not those guys. Those guys potentially could have because they were drafted before the Packers' 2nd round pick. Those are the guys drafted between where the Packers picked and their 2nd round pick. So they would all been available in that 1st round slot.
Let's talk about T. Higgins and Pittman Jr. Okay?
Yeah.
They went in the 2nd round, right? And this is what we have on our roster right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Allen, decent receiver, but he's an unrestricted or undrafted free agent. Okay. Undrafted free agents, look at the history. Okay. I'm not saying that he's not going to get better, but the history is they have one good year and then they go down. They go down from where they were before. They stay even. The chances of them getting better is not very good. I mean, they're undrafted free agents for a reason. Okay. I'm not saying Lazard isn't okay because he's okay. Sorry, Ekis. Kumaro, good hands, runs routes okay. He's okay, but he's 28 years old. He's been in the league for 5 or 6 years, hasn't been a starter. Sorry, he's an undrafted free agent. He's not going to get any better. Okay. He's a 3rd or 4th receiver, just like Alan Lazard on any other team would be a 3rd or 4th receiver. That's my opinion. Then when you look at ESB, he hasn't done anything. He's coming off an injury. Yeah, his time is 4.48, but look at MVS. His 40 time is 4.37. And all he can do is run in a straight line. He can't run routes. Reggie Begleton, he was from the CFL. He runs a 4.53. That's not that fast. in the NFL. It really isn't. Yeah, he could be an okay slot receiver. I don't know. Who knows? But again, he was in the CFL. He couldn't make the NFL when he came out of the draft. There's a reason why he was in the CFL. So let's look at all these receivers. Devonte Adams is the only one that was drafted in the first or second round. He was drafted in the second round in 2014. That is the last time we drafted a wide receiver in the top 2 rounds. I rest my case. Why do you think we have no receivers right now? Because we haven't drafted anybody in 6 years.
You're not wrong, but what round was Greg Jennings?
Second.
Second round.
Second round?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean,
Here's-
we got Donald Driver. We find receivers, and Rodgers makes
Double D was
receivers
their-
better than they are.
Yeah, but here's a scoop.
He was a 6th-round pick. Double D was a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's an anomaly. Donald Driver was an anomaly. I mean,
Well, he is a different type of receiver. He went across the middle. Like,
All
you
right.
know,
I'm gonna give you guys something here real quick, just to give you a complete picture on what the Packers have as well. Bruce kind of got most of it, but I'm gonna just make sure you have it all. These are the receivers on the list: Malik Taylor, undrafted free agent; Darrell Stewart, undrafted free agent; Shepard, undrafted free agent; Kumaro, undrafted free agent; Lazard, undrafted free agent; Begleton, signed from the CFL; Quez, 5th round; EQ, 6th round; Devonte Adams, 2nd round. That's it. That is not much investment in a position group. And we got people in the chat rightly talking about the Packers' biggest need was on defense, D-line, linebacker. None of us would argue with that pick in the 1st round or 2nd round. We were clamoring for it because we know they need that too. But there were guys throughout the draft that were better than some of these guys that they currently have. Okay? Even the kid, tell me if you know his name, the kid from Ohio State who went in the 7th round. He's short, small, but quick and shifty. He doesn't have top end speed, but that kid was good. He's an effective slot receiver. I'll look up his name if I get a chance. But even making that pick, that's something that's different than the guys you have here. And he was successful at a big time college program against good competition. He tore up the Badgers every time they played him. So that's it. Here's the other thing I needed to point out. In 2019, Devonte Adams had 83 receptions. All of the other receivers in the Packers camp had a total of 77 receptions.
but how many times was another receiver open? Because you guys have watched a lot of tape more than me. And how many times has Rodgers either he's going to Adams, but Kumaro lots of times, or somebody else is open short. They're open. It's not the receiver's fault. They're not getting the ball. So I don't care if they're undrafted or not. It's an open receiver that's not getting the ball.
I get you.
So,
and Kumaro had times where he was definitely
shitload
open
of
and
it drove me
wasn't
nuts.
looked at. But
And
Aaron
when
Rodgers
Kumaro-
knew that I have Devonte Adams as a keeper, and I said 20 targets a game, bare minimum. I sent him that text, and it worked.
I'm going to disagree a little bit with the comment of Aaron Rodgers missing a lot of people, because I tend to watch a lot of tape, and I go back and I watch it a second, sometimes a third time, and my wife thinks I'm a nerd, but that's what I do. And the thing is yes, he did miss some receivers. There's no question, but it was like 3 or 4 a game. You know, it wasn't 8 or 10. So yeah, could he dropped it off a couple of times, you know, when he was looking downfield? Of course. Did he miss a receiver every once in a while when he was looking to the right or to the left and not looking, you know, in the right spot? Of course. Every quarterback is like that. You know, they're all going to have that issue. But 3 or 4 times a game, in my opinion, is not a lot. You know, so yes, there was some missed opportunities, but at the same time, these receivers don't get open. Not on a consistent basis. At least that's what I have seen.
Well, I think they were always open in certain spots. I think that he keyed in on Adams a lot. He was going to Adams a lot of times. And what made Rodgers so great the earlier part of his career is that he went through his progression so fast, and he found You know, he went boom, 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 boom. Oh, he's open. He's got a linebacker on him, and he let him. But he went through that so fast, and now he didn't do any progressions. Adams, he's not open yet. He'd move around and go back to Adams, and he didn't even look at other people. That's what I saw too much. Because, you know, I want him to get the ball to Kumaro because he breaks 9 tackles and gets 50 yards every time he touches the ball, both times a game. But
Coomer had a really
try both times the whole season.
Well, he had a really high average per catch, and he had some big plays
because they can't bring him down.
But I guess
the
thing that's different, okay, the thing that also changed that you're not factoring in is when the Packers were humming like that offensively, not only did they have better skill people at receiver with Jennings, Jones, Driver, and all of that, the defenses were playing them differently. There was a lot more zone, a lot more soft. So guys were open right away, or those receivers were really smart to find the holes in the zone. Rodgers knows where they are, and there you go. Once that damn 2015 game with the Broncos happened, and everybody decided to rough up the Packer receivers and say, I'm not worried about these guys beating us over the top. And then the Broncos laid that out there. Everybody started doing it, except for, ironically, Mike Zimmer, who will still play zone sometimes against Rodgers, and he gets torched when he plays zone. Like you play zone against Rodgers, and these guys, they're not that great at beating one-on-one up until last year, I'll say. This different offensive system, but in the McCarthy offensive system where it's really not that creative, but guys were smart enough to know where the holes in the zones were. Guys were open. If a team was playing zone against you, Rodgers would torch you up and you would get the ball out fast.
You just brought up a great point.
Thank you, Bruce. That's why you get to be on this show.
Well, so exactly what you said. So let's look at that. Well, how you beat man-to-man coverage is by having skilled players who can beat man-to-man coverage. And if you don't draft wide receivers in the top tier rounds, you're not going to get those skilled receivers that can beat man-to-man coverage on a consistent basis. Even zone, I'm not saying that you can't find, the holes in the zone, but ultimately you have to have receivers that have the ability to beat man-to-man coverage and can run good routes and have good hands and have speed and all that stuff combined together. And we have average receivers, except for Adams. I mean, let's just be honest about it. That's the case. And that's because you're looking at 4th, 5th, undrafted free agents and 6th rounders. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Well, do you think having a slot guy, which is what the piece we're missing, and having that slot guy will open up a lot of other stuff? Because I do. I think we don't have anybody going across the middle, that we don't have that guy. So that's why they're doubling up on everything else. But if we had somebody, and I was looking, I'm moving ahead on all my research that I did, which was about 6 minutes. But somebody like I saw a free agent, Danny Amendola. He's made of glass, I know, but he's that short little quick son of a bitch. Or Chris Hogan too, that goes across the middle and catches the ball and changes direction real fast. Both those guys. I thought that's a type of receiver that they're missing. I don't know who else would fit that. Those are 2 free agents that I saw that were out there. I was trying to see who else they could get. But I don't know. I think if they would find a piece like that, then they get single coverage on everybody else. And then hopefully Rodgers could get back to, finding the open edge and exploiting that. If the offensive line holds up, but we'll get to that. Rick will get to that next week.
Rick's got all of that stuff. We're just going to talk so much offensive guard next week. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Ben, you said yes. What do you got? What do you think the Packers need?
Sorry, something weird happened.
Oh, is it just that I think it's just that thing where you really don't listen when I talk. I said, Ben, what do you think the Packers need? Well, you said yes about the slot receiver with that being so important and being missing. And it is. And you look at the bunch of the Packers receivers, they're almost all the same. They're all, Adams is a little shorter, but a bunch of them are like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", not necessarily good at changing direction, not really fast, not really shifty. Those guys, what do you do with them? They're all the same kind of guys.
I think right now with LaFleur's LaFleur's offense or what he wants to do, he's looking for blockers for the most part. He's looking for somebody to get in the way and not hold and be a big, you just got to be a body. I think that's what he wants as far as receivers. So that could be why he wasn't going after one early on too, because they're just not going to use the dynamics of a good receiver. With this,
am I getting this right? You guys don't like these receivers on the roster. That's what I'm getting.
I like Lazard and Kumaro.
I love Lazard and I like Kumaro too, but they're very similar, Ben, and none of them are game changers. And the Packers, the point that Bruce is making and the point that is real, and I went back and looked at a bunch of Packer drafts, and I can rehash that for you, but they just don't draft guys. So when you're not trying to draft guys that are supposed to be good or hopefully have the opportunity to be good because they're that high in the draft, you're not going to get the top quality talent. And then you can't beat man-to-man because you have undrafted free agent talent or you have 5th, 6th, 7th round talent.
Well, how do you know if these guys that are rookies or college players can beat man-to-man when all they play against is freaking zone? I'm telling you right now, T. Higgins is not better than Alan Lazard. And I will stake my claim on that.
And
I don't think Jerry Jeudy is better than Alan Lazard right now. I don't think CeeDee Lamb is better than Alan Lazard right now.
That one, I don't know.
Listen, maybe, okay. The only thing I can say is sometimes those guys can break some tackles, and Lazard needs to do a better job at that. I will admit that. But I don't think they're that dynamic or that much faster or crazier or more of an explosive play. Watch their game film.
The ones that I saw, CeeDee Lamb looked pretty smooth.
Smooth, yes. But when you're going up against zone coverage, am I still freaking out? This is making me mad.
It's not bad. It's only when you say things that are incorrect, the internet cuts you off.
Whatever. These guys they're not playing bump and run coverage. They're getting free. I watched Jefferson with LSU have a 9-yard cushion on every single play I watched. Every single play, the guy had a 9-yard cushion in the slot. He lined up in the slot with a 9-yard cushion. You think he's going to look smooth and good then? Yeah. Let's see him play in the slot against Micah Hyde, who's right on top of him. He would get his ass kicked.
And Ben, you're right.
We're fired up tonight. Lots of
Ben, you're right.
I am so sick of this crap. I'm sick of hearing all these people and reading all this crap about people like, they don't have any receivers. They got no receivers. Bull crap. The only thing they don't have is a good slot guy.
I got one.
They don't have a good slot guy.
I got one. I have a question on this guy.
No, I'm not done.
All right, finish then.
I'm super mad now.
All right, be mad.
Because you three guys are making me pissed.
All right,
how many games did they win when Devonte got hurt?
Oh, geez.
All of them. They didn't lose a game when Devonte was hurt. They had the same damn receivers. Matter of fact, they had Sternberger was hurt. Tanyan was hurt. Who else was hurt during that time? They had nothing. Jimmy Graham is slow ass. He didn't help them. They won all those games against the Chiefs. Yeah, there's no Mahomes, but still. They scored freaking Rodgers had a perfect game against the Raiders. He had a perfect game against the Raiders without Devonte Adams.
Oh, sorry, Rick.
A perfect game. His only perfect game was without Devonte Adams. All of his receivers were 5th, 6th, and undrafted receivers. But they're no good. I am sick of it. The bottom line is this. LaFleur called plays in those games that got those guys open. And guess what? Boom, it worked. The problem is Rodgers. And I'm saying it. And you guys, all you Rodgers lovers out there, and I used to be one. I'm telling you. I watched the film. I'm going to tell you all right now. Watch the highlights. Go right now. I want you to watch highlights right now. As soon as this is over, watch the first 49ers game. There is a play with Jimmy Graham lined up to the left, with the running back in the backfield, 3 wide receivers to the right. Okay? They have a corner lined up over the top of Lazard. He blitzes. Rodgers fumbles, and that was the end of it after that. NFC Championship game. The exact same formation. The exact same play call. The same freaking defensive play call. That's defensive slot guy blitzes. The difference was LaFleur called max protection on the play. Jimmy Graham stayed in to block, and so did Williams stayed in to block. Okay? Rodgers looked to the left, even though there wasn't a single person going out in the freaking play on that time. And he did it because he's trying to make the safety think something was happening over here. You got 3 damn receivers over here. You think the safety is worried about Jimmy Graham and his slow ass over on the left? He ain't. And Rodgers doesn't even look over there. If he would have saw the damn corner blitzing. And here's freaking Devonte wide open and Kumaro wide open. Both of them. There was only one guy there to cover 3 receivers. He never looked over there. It was the same play, the same formation, the same everything. Go watch it. It's in the regular highlights. Because on that play, guess what happened? Rodgers got sacked and fumbled. Oh, or maybe he got sacked and they had to punt. Whatever. That was the other one where Billy Turner, on that play, he had 3 guys he could have blocked. He blocked none of the 3. And that was how it was just a crazy play. But what I'm saying is this. LaFleur is not as dumb as you guys say he is. LaFleur can call some plays to get guys open, especially these guys. The guys in the draft are not as dynamic that they're going to come in and destroy the whole league. And especially when they don't have an offseason. I am telling you, the receivers that the Packers have are good receivers. They're really good. They're good enough on this team with this particular head coach, with his particular scheme, as long as the quarterback will run the scheme and not do crazy, weird things that make no sense. And he did it. And I like Rodgers. I'm telling you, I'm not like a Rodgers hater. I'm not. But I'm telling you, these guys can do it. So stop freaking hating on them.
If you add Funchess to
one
that
of these
group,
guys
I
could have
agree
to be
with
good. Funchess wasn't even going to play.
He was too.
They signed him for what? Nothing.
Yeah,
He wasn't any good. He wasn't.
He's a good
play.
receiver. He had
Especially
Cam
with this
Newton
offseason. He
throwing
wasn't
to
going to
him.
play. You know
Yeah,
what?
but
He opted out because he knew he wasn't going to play.
He's got bad hands, man. He drops a lot. All right, I got one for you, Ben.
He wasn't going to beat out Lazard and all those guys. All right, I'm sorry for yelling. Back to you.
No, it's okay. I just have one question because this I thought was interesting when I looked at it. All right, especially because it was almost like a repeat of history here. So there's a guy drafted at 80 in the draft. So 3rd round, number 16, Lynn Bowden Jr. from Kentucky, 5'11", 204, a versatile offensive weapon who ended up going from receiver to play quarterback last year because the team needed him to. Good runner, elusive in the open field, could play the slot. It sounds a lot like a little bigger, stronger version of, I don't know, a guy the Packers had some pretty good luck with for quite a while. But that guy wasn't good enough in the 2nd round to pick.
Where'd he go?
He went to the Raiders. Raiders. Good pick. Lynn Bowden Jr. I'm telling you, I mean, he's got good reviews on him. They say he's got good vision in the open field. Could have helped with returns, threat downfield after the catch, does a whole lot after the catch. And the Packers don't have a guy that does a lot after the catch, right? Who on this team, Ben, out of that group, after they catch it, who's going to do something with it that you see?
Kumaro. He'll just break all the tackles.
Yeah, okay. I mean, he might scare people.
Catches the ball.
Yeah, 3 catches a game there. But I love you, man.
And what does he do? He breaks 2 tackles every time he gets one. Give him the damn ball.
It's a different kind of guy, and I get it. And there are people in the chat are pointing that out too. They're interested to see what the team's going to do with more utilizing some of the tight ends, the backs, and all that could work. All of it could work. But it doesn't mean you don't have to upgrade your skill level at wide receiver or find that slot guy that can be dynamic. Like apparently Lynn Bowden Jr. Rick, tell us what you think about him. I didn't even know anything about him because I didn't study the receivers like Ben did. But then I was looking through the list, especially after that Gutekunst claim. And I'm like, wait a minute, this guy was from Kentucky? Wait a minute, he's 5'11", 204. He's versatile. He ended up playing quarterback for him because they needed him to. He ran the ball a bunch. He's good in the open field. Sounds like a pretty good guy to add to your team to me. Instead of Josiah DeGuara in the third round, who you could have got like 4th round, 5th round, maybe 6th round. But LaFleur was in love with DeGuara, so he had to jump on him.
You're such a hater.
I'm not a hater. I'm just saying. Like, here's okay. Before you go, here's how it doesn't make sense, Ben. Because Goody says these guys weren't good enough by the grades to take in that first round or take in that second round. But I didn't go by any of the grades for DeGuara because LaFleur knew a coach at Cincinnati, so I just had to grab him in the third round. Nobody had DeGuara's grade higher than 4th round at best, and most people were 5th or 6th round on him. But you had to reach for him. But then you claim you can't get any of these other guys because that's a reach because they don't meet the grade. It doesn't make sense, man. Let me ask you a question.
All right. Okay. And we've done, this is how many weeks after the draft? And I understand it's Bruce and Eckes they're not on here every week, so I get them talking about it. But you talking about it, it's just time to be done. The draft is done.
I didn't know that guy was there. I would have drafted him.
These are the guys they have, okay? These are the guys that we're going to have to root for. Are we Packer fans? Then these are the guys we're going with.
All right.
Now, I'm also going to point out some things to you. Think of all the draft picks that were, like you said, why did they draft this guy in the 7th round? He was a good. What's the difference between the 7th round and undrafted free agent wide receiver? Not a whole lot. Not only that, how many guys do you see get drafted and then they stink? They don't even do anything. 1st round guys, 2nd round guys, 3rd. I mean, we've gone over this. We had a whole show we talked about all the 1st round picks the Packers had in the last 12 years that were all crap. I mean, come on. It doesn't matter who they drafted or where they drafted them, as long as they're players and they can do what they need to do on the team. All right? Now, when it comes to DeGuara, did anybody have him as a 3rd round pick ever at any freaking pre-draft show? Hell no. They had him in like the 6th round pick. I agree. I didn't even know who the hell the guy was. I didn't really know who A.J. Dillon was either. But I'm telling you, I've watched some stuff on these two guys. I am happy with these two guys. I see them filling roles that this particular team did not have prior to them being on the team. Now, would I have loved to have seen a slot receiver? Yes. Should they have gotten a slot receiver with the 1st round pick? I don't know if there was a talented guy there at that point. Now, the quarterback was dumb. We're not going to talk about that. DeGuara is Richard Rodgers. He's Richard Rodgers. And he's not going to destroy anybody. He's not going to run after the catch. Well, he has it better at run at the catch than Richard Rodgers was. He's a solid, super smart guy who can run, who can block, who can catch, who's got a pretty quick mind and pretty quick feet for a big guy. So, what did the Packers have for the last 4 years? They let Richard Rodgers go, and then what do? Well, let's sign a guy. Okay, we signed Cooks, right? Okay, he has 1 year, and they let him go. Then they sign Bennett. They signed Bennett, and then he was crazy, and they let him go. And then they signed stupid Graham for 2 years, and he was a waste of time, and he sucked. Okay?
And Mercedes Lewis.
Mercedes he's more of a leader. I don't think his talent in blocking. We're not going to fool anybody with him. He's a guy who's there to, Rodgers likes him. The team likes him. He's a good guy. That's kind of his role, and that's fine. And Jay Sternberger is more of a receiver guy than really a blocker. Tanyan is kind of the same way. And DeGuara is more of a middle of the road, kind of a tight end. I mean, he's just a bigger body guy. You
He's
know,
not that big. He's only
and
like
I'm not talking
40.
tall,
He's smaller than those guys.
And he
right?
runs
But
slow.
he's got size. He does run slower, and he runs slower than all those guys.
I would
Sternberg,
say-
probably the only
I
guy
would
he's faster.
I would say, Ben, he's got better blocking technique than like Tanyan or whatever, but he is actually smaller than all the other guys. Now, the saving grace, talking about tight ends, is that the Packers decided that their 7th round draft choice from a couple of years ago, who was drafted as a defensive lineman, is now going to play tight end, James Looney. So at 6'2", 287, we do have a tight end who used to be a defensive lineman. Because we were good there on the D line. We'll get into that next another show. James Looney is now a tight end. Everybody, James Looney.
How many tight ends are they going to keep? 3, right?
Yeah, the tight ends are set. Well,
so Tanyan's gone.
Tanyan's gone. Tanyan's gone, and they're going to try to maybe bring him back in the practice squad in case they have an injury. But yeah, it's going to be Sadie, Sternberger, and DeGuara. That's it.
Tanyan's gone.
Tanyan's
Did I
out.
miss something?
Can
No,
they
he will be.
Why?
back on the
He's
practice
going to be
get
cut.
cut.
He's
eligible?
going to be cut.
Oh,
Like, I mean, they
LaFleur just talked about him in his press conference yesterday or whatever.
It
day
doesn't
was.
matter.
He just
They
talked
say
about
all this
Tanya.
crap all the time, Ben. You're not going to cut Sadie's. And Sternberger and DeGuara, you just invested back-to-back 3rd-round picks in those guys. They're on the team. That's it. So, and you're only going to keep 3. So
Why? They
Tanya's
kept 4
out.
last year.
Yeah, but it's not going to. Well, unless you go with one less wideout, which maybe you do, because maybe that's
Which
the
they're
plan.
gonna.
That's the plan. You didn't want to draft.
That
any
is the
wide
plan. How
receivers.
do you guys not get it?
Okay.
This isn't Mike McCarthy anymore. We don't have 7 receivers and 2 tight ends. And no, we got 5 receivers, and we're going to have 4 tight ends, and we're going to have a fullback, and we're going to have 4 running backs. It's a totally different thing.
DeGuara is an H-back, probably, most likely.
Well, they just signed a guy too, who was a quarterback, and now he's a fullback. I don't know what
That
whatever his
Lovett
name
guy,
is. Some white guy.
Love it or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to do.
He's basically Taysom Hill, but
I'm just saying.
Oh, that was it. When you sent that,
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought the Packers signed John Lovitz. I thought that's what you were saying. I'm like, what the hell? Some 60-some-year-old comedian? It's getting that bad? He's not even that funny. Like, come on. That's
Nah.
crazy. Anyway,
so
hey, I got to get you caught up real quick, and then I'll let you go.
Right.
Lots of stuff going tonight. Brown said a while ago, in 25 plus years, the Packers never really got Favre Rodgers a lot of help, in his opinion. It could have been a lot better. Some other people getting into talking more about basically how the team's evolving. It's going to be a lot more. They're curious to see what's going to happen with tight ends and all that stuff. Brown throws another shot in there. Eckes, dang, he says, new brew, crusty Kumaro, overrated IPA. Man,
Whoa.
Brown is just grinding you tonight.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
and then Rick says Pack is going power formation with 4 guards, not 2 guards, 4 guards, 2 tackles,
Yeah.
a center, and let's just.
That's why they drafted all those guards.
There you go. You're going to go big. Big
And then
formation.
give it to Dylan, baby. Give it to Dylan. Woo! I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. I'm loving it.
All right.
Have Rodgers. They don't even just direct snap right to Dylan. Screw it. Just put another guard in there.
I'm
I
curious-
brought up my wide
Go ahead,
receiver
Egger.
stuff a little bit before.
Yeah. What else you got?
Do you think there's any free agents out there
No.
that the Packers would consider? No, just. Do you think there are any out there that the Packers would consider at all? The names that I
Nelson.
thought, Danny Amendola and Chris Hogan, I thought was interesting.
No, Chris Hogan is not a slot guy.
Why
Just
do you
because he's white doesn't mean he's a
Eckes.
slot guy, Eckes.
come on? Why are these
Danny
receivers only
Amendola.
white? Why are these
Amendola.
receivers only white?
Nope, they're
that you're
not,
bringing up?
because the other ones I
Okay.
have are
All right, good.
Tavon Austin to take it off the top.
All right, okay.
He's fast.
How about Trevor
And
Davis?
Demarius-
Is he still? is he
Demarius
available?
Thomas is a free agent right now.
He
I don't know.
drops so many
I'm
balls.
just putting it out there. I'm just
I
putting it out
get you.
there.
I get you. I get you. But no,
Because then the other one I thought is, I mean,
come on.
Sonovich is talented. He just can't stay off the weed. But Josh Gordon, God,
Oh, I would
if you put
I
him
would
as
be
our number
on
2,
board with him.
if you put him as our number 2, and he can, there's nothing to do in Green Bay. How much trouble can he get into?
I would-
He will be You'll be smoking.
He'd find it, but yeah.
I'd be totally up for Josh Gordon because he's a talent and he was good. I mean, he's been
so
productive
good.
everywhere he's been. He's been productive. And maybe the Packers could straighten him out. They're not going to do it because they don't want any trouble guys whatsoever.
Which I'm not against. I just was throwing it out there.
And Bernard's in the chat saying we need AB. And while he's an incredible talent too, the Packers aren't going to do that. You know, they're just not. They're not.
But I was just throwing out a few free agents. I actually looked something up to try and find it just to see what was out there.
I don't think so. They're just not going to do. This is what they're going to do. This is what they have. Okay. The Packers
I agree.
The Packers have built this philosophy. Now you tell me. I'm going to go through this and I'm going to tell you who's going to make the team on the wideouts, right? Okay. Devonte is there, of course. We know that. Lazard, yes. Quez is somehow going to make it again because he has to. Kumaro, St. Brown, and there's your 5. And that's it. Reggie Begleton, he's not going to make it. Shepard lets the ball bounce off his face. Last year, he caught 1 pass for 1 yard, and he let a ball bounce off his face for an interception.
In the red zone.
Yes, at the 1 yard line. Darrell Stewart, Malik Taylor, a couple more UFAs. I'm sorry, guys, you're out of here. You're not going to be on the team. So that's it. So your wide receivers are going to be Devonte, EQ, Quez, Lazard, and Kumaro. That's it. Anybody? What do you think about that?
Yep.
Pretty much on, yeah.
So
but see, if you added Funchess to that, I don't think that's that bad. I think I have a higher rating of Funchess than you guys, I guess.
Well, I think you see the good in him, you know, but the thing is he was wildly inconsistent. It wasn't just about the quarterback. It
was partially about the quarterback. Plus, who's the other receiver in Carolina?
Yeah, but he doesn't have strong hands. He doesn't catch the ball strong. And actually, Devonte Adams doesn't have strong hands either, to be honest with you. Devonte double catches a lot. He doesn't have just mitts that he'll just grab it very often. And that's why he drops. We've talked about some of his drops, talked about some of the other things, which with as good as he is, that is one of his flaws is he's not a strong hands catcher. I know DeGora actually is at the tight end spot. So maybe that's one of the things they're looking for is another strong hands catcher in traffic. And maybe that was something they loved about DeGora, I guess. I don't know.
And I actually agree with Ben that we're going small receivers or small receiving core. We're going with what we got because throwing the ball is secondary. We're going to be running, and hopefully the throw will be there. I think that's the LaFleur game plan. So I guess that's why I think they kind of just threw the towel and said, yeah, we're good.
Well, Bruce, you tell me. This is my take on this. The effectiveness of LaFleur's offense is hinging on one player, MVS. Because LaFleur wants more big plays in the pass game. They want to do everything off of the run. The only guy that's going to get deep on you, pretty much, is going to be him. So they are banking everything on the fact that he's going to be a difference maker if they really want to get those explosive plays up. What do you think about that?
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad take. I mean, he runs a 4.37 40, and he's by far the fastest receiver we have, in a 40 time. And the unfortunate thing is it's his 3rd year. He hasn't done anything, in my opinion, to show that he's going to be that guy. He's dropped balls when he's been wide open. He can only run a straight line. He doesn't really have any chemistry with Rodgers. When I watched the tape, he doesn't seem to be able to get any separation, and he doesn't have what Adams has, and he doesn't have what Jordy had, and and those types of things where because Jordy was quick, but he wasn't super fast, but he was elusive fast, but he was a great route runner, and MVS is not that. And you can use him in certain instances and get him open deep. But ultimately, you know what? Defensive coordinator is going to figure it out. And I just don't see MVS all of a sudden being this savior. So I agree with you. It's a big, huge risk, but I don't see it happening. I'm not trying to be negative. I just don't see it happening.
Tavon Austin's out there.
I mean, the other thing with
he's better than MVS.
The other thing with him is he does not attack the ball. He's a tall guy, yet somehow he doesn't attack the ball. He lets it come to him all the time, which is one of the reasons why passes get broken up sometimes or this or that. But he doesn't.
You want to know what I think is going to help MVS? And I think it's going to help St. Brown and Lazard and Kumro. Because guess what? All those guys are 6'3", 6'4", and 6'5". They're all monsters in height, right? And the Packers just signed a guy to their coaching staff who was 6'4", 6'5", and would attack the ball, and was Aaron Rodgers' best buddy his first couple years in the league. And maybe it'll be helpful to have a wide receiver coach who actually has the same type of physical abilities that these guys have. And that's what Ruvel Martin was. Ruvel Martin was a big guy who attacked the ball. He wasn't super fast, but he ran good routes, and he had Rodgers' trust. So who's the best guy to teach other guys who are just like him how to get Rodgers' trust and to learn how to play wide receiver at that position when you don't quite have the speed? Because Ruvel Martin obviously didn't have speed. And I didn't know that Ruvel Martin went to college with LaFleur. LaFleur was his quarterback in college. I didn't know that until they signed him this year. I thought they just signed him to make Rodgers happy because it was his best buddy back in the day when Rodgers was on the practice squad with Ruvel Martin. I'm telling you, these guys are going to be good. These guys are going to have a new, philosophy, a new thing. Their wide receiver coach last year was also a former receiver, but he was a 5'10" guy who was a slot quick guy. So what does he know about being a big giant monster and how to use your body and block guys off and all that kind of stuff? I don't know. Sometimes you need a guy who just knows stuff, right? Just like when Clay Matthews had Kevin Green right away, it helped him.
Mm-hmm.
He had a guy who was just like him, who taught him all the stuff. And I think Ruvel Martin's going to do that. And I agree with you. MVS is the key. And it scares me. That's the scariest part. Because if you remember back to the second game, when the Packers played the Bears at Lambeau, they probably worked all week on that first play, offensive play. Worked all week on it, which means, it was the first play they called. So you got to think MVS practiced that sucker at least 5-6 times, right? Had to him, right? Gets wide ass open. Would have been a touchdown. Deep down the field, Rodgers throws perfect ball, drops it. Would have been a touchdown on the first play. And the only guy who screwed up, MVS. On the first play of the game, when you know they had to practice that all week long. He needs to get going. And he's also the guy who tweeted this offseason, right? He compared himself to Reggie White not Reggie White, Jerry Rice and Reggie White. Jerry Rice and Moss, Eckes' shirt, and all these guys, right? And then he put MVS. Believe it into existence, right? That's what he did. That's what his hashtag.
Man.
He's got to do it. He's got to step up and be the man. He's got to be the deep threat we need him to be so that the other guys can have some space to work.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have to do it all the time. But when he's wide open and the play's there, he's got to make the play. He doesn't have to always attack the ball, but the threat of him being there has to be there. So when they call that play on first play of the game, it's got to work. So the defense worries about that the whole game, and that's going to open stuff up for everybody else. So you're right. MVS is the key at wide receiver. Not Devonte, not Lazard. It's MVS. And I know it makes my face have that same face you have. It scares the crap out of me. But you're right. That is the key to the whole team. Because nobody else has got breakaway speed. Nobody.
And the Packers have been looking for that for a while, right? Because you think about the opportunities Jeff Janis had. Sorry, I guess I don't mean to bring up bad memories. But Jeff Janis was that same kind of guy, right? He had the speed. He could have been that piece of the offense. And when they got that chances to catch the ball, he didn't do it, except for in Arizona, which was awesome. And Trevor Davis, right? They're like, oh, he's so fast and blah, blah, blah. And then every time they gave him a shot down the field, and so that can't happen again. That's because like Ben's saying, if it like Valdez-Scantling doesn't have to be the second highest targeted guy on the offense. He just has to be a threat, because then Lazard and Devonte, the run game, all of it going to be way more open, and the tight ends, everybody in the middle. So speaking of tight ends, what do you guys got about the tight ends? my personal thought is these two position groups are going to be like the easiest cuts on the whole team. That's what it looks like to me. What do you guys think about the tight end group?
Just backtrack for 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
Who's running kickoffs and punts right now? Who do they have slated for that?
Probably Tyler, I think.
Yeah, Swerve and Irvin.
Swerve and Irvin. He's the man.
Okay, I was just.
He the man.
They're going to have 5 running backs, dude. They're going to have 5 running backs on this team. They are. They're going to have 5 wide receivers, 5 running backs, and 5 tight ends. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
They're not going to have 5 tight ends. They might have 4. They might have 4.
They're gonna have. Why would you move
Looney?
Are you talking about Looney? Looney's the bruiser. He's
Looney,
like the
man.
extra guard. He's the.
Yeah.
Well, then they'll cut Tanyan.
What about that? They just keep Looney. He could be tight end when they need him. Guard, offensive guard. He can be D tackle in a pinch.
Yeah.
I mean, he should get a roster spot. Just
they asked LaFleur or somebody about, what's the key to versatility? Versatility is going to be major key for guys making the team in the secondary level, not the starters, but the guys in the back. And what leads to versatility? Availability, years in league experience, right? And also being able to play multiple positions, which means rookies are going to have a hard time making teams this year. That's why I'm telling you guys. The wide receiver, drafted receiver, I'm telling you, this is exactly, they knew what they were doing. They should have took Queen. Everything else, I'm okay. They should have took a defensive lineman because they can learn fast. I agree. They should have took our guy, Neville Gallimore. They did. It was dumb. Whatever. But as far as the tight ends go, they have a little bit of everything with all these guys. And it's just hoping that they don't get hurt like Sternberger and Tanya got hurt last year, and it sucked. But if they do, DeGuara is there now too. They've got, for years, they would just sign a guy, right? An old guy, and then they'd have nothing. And that's all they had. This year, they're going to be moving guys in and moving them around and line them up in different positions. And I just hope that's what it is. I hope that it's look beyond the player's individual ability and look at the scheme's availability and scheme specific things to make these guys have open spots. Let me ask you a question. George Kittle, right? Is he considered the best tight end in the league, right? He's considered the best tight end in the league.
Craziest for sure.
He was the secondary guy his senior year at Iowa or wherever the hell he was at college. He wasn't even the main guy.
Yep.
He wasn't even the main guy. If you took George Kittle and put him on the Lions and you put TJ Hawkinson and put him on the 49ers, would there be that big of a difference in production for the 49ers? I don't know. It might be even better. But Kittle is put in the right position for his skill set. He's a crazy guy. He goes out 100%, works hard, right? That's his thing. He didn't kill anybody at the combine. He didn't destroy. In college, he had like 30-some catches his senior year. And then he goes and destroys the NFL. How? Scheme. Understanding your players. That's what the Packers need to do. And they've got them. They've got guys. I think Jay Sternberger could easily be a George Kittle type if he gets, not being hurt all the time. And DeGuara, like I said, he's a really solid guy. He could be a really good player. Think about this stuff for the receivers and that. Go on with that. What do you think? What's your opinion on these tight ends? I want to know.
The Packers have been chasing tight ends for a long time. Long time. Bruce, go ahead.
Actually, I was going to agree with Ben for once.
That's good.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think Jay Sternberger is going to have a minimum of 600 yards this year receiving. And I think it's going to be more around 7 or 750. I think that kid, looking at, and I know he doesn't have a lot of experience in that role. I think in college was he only a tight end for a year or two or something like that? I guess I didn't look back that way, but
he he had his senior year was this breakout year where he had tons of catches and stuff like that.
Okay.
Before that, he was like nothing.
Right.
But then his senior year, he like destroyed everybody. So
yeah. I mean, the kid can block. There's no doubt about that. He's got some quickness. He can run routes. He's a good route runner. He's got good hands. He's not super fast, but that doesn't necessarily matter too much with a tight end. I mean, the average speed for a tight end is I looked it up. It's 4.7, and he's 4.75. So it's not like he's slow per se, but at the same time, he can block. He can run routes. I don't know. I kind of like the kid. I think he might have a chance to be pretty good. So that's the kid that I'm excited about as far as tight ends. DeGuara, no idea. And Lewis, I just like the guy. I mean, he's, like you said, he's a good leader. So,
well, and he's a good blocker, and that's key to what LaFleur wants to do.
And Sadie's is, I mean, they showed a lot of replays of his blocks from last year, and I was, he's doing a lot of those trap blocks and all kinds of things in the run game. I mean, he wasn't backing down from any of that stuff, and he's been in the league for forever. So
he seems like a player that plays his role. He knows he's not going to go out and score touchdowns or whatever. He's happy being the blocker. So, and that's good to have in the locker room, I think, because that teaches the younger guys, hey, you're not gonna get all these splash plays, even though you got Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. Your job is to get in his way so that they can do it. And sometimes it's thankless, but it's important.
And he was reliable when he got opportunities in the pass game.
That's what I was going to say. He could still make a catch, and he could still do the block for a little bit and then sneak out for a 5-yard catch, to get a first down or something like that. Like, use that more. They did a couple times last year. We know the year before that didn't do it at all with him. He had like 2 freaking passes his way. So at least last year they did a little bit more with him. But
Jimmy Graham's a bear now. So
right.
That helps.
And just think about that, guys. Think about that. Jimmy Graham, all those plays he had, they're gone. They're going to have actually a good player in there for once. All the plays that Geronimo was in, we're going to have somebody who can maybe do something like Kumaro or whoever, or MBS or St. Brown or whoever. Somebody to scare somebody. You think Geronimo scared anybody? No. But he's in all the time. Even putting MBS and having him run straight is going to at least take somebody out of the freaking play. I mean, but Allison, nobody was worried about that. So I'm okay with these guys. I like them. I think they're all good guys. For the most part, they're pretty smart, especially tight end. I think tight end, the difference between the tight ends and the wide receivers, tight ends, we got a lot of smart, versatile guys. Every one of them can seem to kind of do everything, except for maybe Mercedes, who doesn't have speed downfield or anything like that. He's kind of big and slow, but he can catch it and he can not run over dudes and whatever. So I think it's going to be really cool to see some 3 tight end sets. I still go back to that Eagles game last year, and I just watched the Eagles who had no receivers. They sucked. But, man, those 2 tight ends destroyed us in that game. We couldn't stop them. Think back to, I don't want to bring up his name, but Hernandez and Gronk, those guys destroyed everybody when it was dual tight ends for the Patriots. I think the Packers can do that. They could do it with 3 tight ends. Hell, they could put 4 damn tight ends in there if they wanted. Put freaking A.J. Dillon back there with 4 tight ends. What's the defense going to do? Are they going to put 4 secondary guys in there? Let's see that. I want to see, Tanya run over a safety. I want to see Mercedes beating up a corner so that A.J. Dillon runs right after him. Dude, do it. I want to see this stuff. I want to see LaFleur come up with some crazy-ass crap with all these guys and see what people are going to do. Why do you have to always run and have 25 receivers? Why does Rodgers always got to throw to the outside to receivers all the time? No, let's see some cool stuff. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
They're doing this. I'm cool. I'm excited. I like these guys.
All right.
I like them all. Except for MBS. I'm a little worried about it. But that's it.
Yeah. I want James Looney to get in the mix then.
James Looney.
Come on, man. If he made the position change.
Looney.
Come on, man. Why not? Hey, Rick says, I got a couple of quick things. Rick says about those fast receivers, just to remember, he says he knows all too well about those because he's a Raiders fan. The fast guys with no hands. It used to be an insult to say the wide receiver was so bad they couldn't even catch a cold, but That might be a good thing this season, he says. And Josh George says, MVS reminds me of Featherstone. And then he says, if you get that reference, you're awesome. I guess I'm not awesome. Sorry, man.
I'm not awesome either.
But Rick got it. He's smart. And then
Oh,
Bernard's
yeah.
Bernard's throwing like monkey wrenches in here because he's like, if Patrick Mahomes retired today, would he be a Hall of Famer? There's one for you guys. Chime in. I say no.
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 He's only played like 3 years, right?
He needs more consistency. Come on. I mean,
yeah.
You got to play at least a handful more years, at least 4 more years, in my opinion.
He'd make it before Matt Ryan would, but that's about all I can say. I hate Matt Ryan.
Sterling Sharp still ain't a Hall of Famer.
Sterling Sharp is a damn Hall of Famer. If Sterling Sharp, yeah. And Leroy Butler, by the way. What the crap? Let's go. Yeah. We had a whole episode about that. I went off about Leroy Butler and Mike Holmgren. Frickin' he deserves it way more than Bill Cowers. Sorry, ass.
That's true. I hope you're right, and I hope they keep 4 tight ends, and I hope Bobby Tonyan's still on the team because I love Bob Tonyan. So
they're going to have 4 tight ends.
All right,
4 tight ends, 5 running backs. Trust me, it's there.
All right. I got to give you this now. I'm gonna see if this screen share is gonna work because this was something I found today and doing some of my draft research. I hope it works here. Here it is. This is redrafting 2017 for the Packers.
You
want to know? This is what could have been, everybody. This is what could have been. Just because the Packers, I looked through all these historical drafts, and the Packers are terrible at drafting. So Corey, who said that like months ago, you're absolutely correct. I didn't realize they were so bad at drafting, but they were. But this is what could have been 2017 draft class.
All right, let's see it.
Round 1, TJ Watt. Didn't have to move. Instead, what happened was Packers' original pick, they traded down to 33 and drafted Kevin King.
Blech.
Round 2, we're getting there. Oh, come back. Round 2, they say they could have taken Juju Smith-Schuster. But instead, they drafted Josh Jones. But look at this pick. Round 3, they could have got Eddie Jackson, the safety the Bears have right now. Instead, they got Mon Adams,
who never plays,
still hanging on the team because he was a 3rd-round pick, but he's not any good. Round 4, they could have got George Kittle. Instead, they drafted Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
Round 5, they could have drafted Matt Breida.
Why would they? They don't need him.
Well, this is
the next pick.
Round 5, they also could have drafted Aaron Jones. Oh, they did. At least they got that one right.
Genius move.
So they stick with that one, which is good. Round 6, they say they could have drafted this kid out of Kentucky Wesleyan. Instead, they drafted Kofi Amichia.
Never heard of him.
Didn't even make the team, I think. But a wide out that has done pretty well. And then this guy was advocating for this because he said that offseason is when the Packers signed
Jimmy Graham,
Martellus Bennett, and Lance
Kendricks.
Kendricks.
Right.
And they're saying you could have drafted these 2 rookie tight ends and been much better off.
That's what was my point before. You know, they draft those tight ends now because they screwed up so many times before by trying to find that free agent tight end over and over and over every year. And it's just like, stop it.
George Kittle, 134th player. They could have got him.
God.
That's what it could have been, guys. That's
every team could have got George Kittle in the 4th round.
I know. I'm just saying. Just think, man.
Anyway, every team could have had Aaron Jones too.
That's not reality. But it was interesting to see it.
Don't show that stuff again. Be sad.
Sorry, dude. Oh man. But it's just like Josh Jones, Montravius Adams. Oh God.
No, I gotta say something about Josh Jones.
Okay, tell me.
Poor guy.
Okay, poor guy. All right.
Yeah. Listen, part of the problem was they just didn't know how to use him. He was a dynamic, athletic guy. And then when he played that Cincinnati Bengals game, when he had like 2 sacks and like 12 tackles and he was all over the place, And he was playing like a Cam Chancellor safety role, a lot by the line of scrimmage, destroying stuff. That's the kind of guy he was. And they tried to make him then learn like a free safety or like switch him around and do all this different stuff. Listen, when you have a guy with talent and then you see it in a game, I would like enhance that talent. You're not going to take Alan Lazard and have him run go routes every play, are you? No, that's not what he does. Same thing at safety. You're not going to have a guy try to cover people if he can't cover anybody. But if he destroys the line of scrimmage with blitzing and like, you know, he's just like, who's the guy they drafted this year from Clemson? That safety that everybody went nuts over, Simmons, right? Right?
Oh, Wayne Simmons.
Josh Jones. No, the guy this year.
Oh, okay.
Simmons he was drafted number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, number 4 overall.
Yep.
Not Wayne Simmons.
He was like a crazy, like he was blitzing. He was like playing around the line of scrimmage. He was beating guys up. Josh Jones could have been Oren Burks. Really, when you think about it, they should have used him as Oren Burks, like nickel and dime linebacker. That's what they should have used him as. And they screwed it up. And then he got pissed when they drafted Savage, and then they just traded him because he was so pissed, right? Because he didn't want to show up for camp and all the other crap.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to see what you have and use it.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have created like a role to defense, whatever, Troy Polamalu type role or more along those lines where he was just a freelancer, then he could have been effective. But they needed something else out of their safeties apparently. And at the same time, you still had to make up for haha. So, you know, whatever. All right, let's finish up with these tight ends.
Yeah, but
Bruce and
they
Eggis.
Right,
Bruce and Eggis. We'll get into that later. We got lots of time to talk about the linebackers. Linebackers going to be a lot harder. I still feel like receivers, tight ends, pretty straightforward in terms of who the cut's going to be. All right, Bruce, which tight ends make the roster out of these guys? You got Tanyan, Evan Bayless, Sadie Sternberger, DeGuara, and James Looney, who used to be a D lineman last year.
I agree with you, actually, Jason. Lewis obviously makes the roster. DeGuara makes the roster.
You got it.
Sternberger, obviously, you know what I feel about him. I think he has a kind of a little bit of a breakout season. I don't know if they keep 4. Maybe if they do. I'm going to say they keep 3. I don't think they're going to keep 4 because I think they've got the fullback they picked up. What's his name? Is it Lovett or Love?
John Lovitz? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he will be utilized a little bit in different facets, and DeGuara will be an H-back as well as a tight end. So I think they can just keep those 3. That's what I'm saying. Just those 3.
And I agree. I think Tanyan's the odd man out handling. Sorry.
Damn. The only thing I'll say about Tanyan is he has played a lot of special teams so far. So depending, it's going to come back. It's going to come down to that fullback tight end.
I'd like to keep Tanyan if they can find a spot for him. I'd love to.
Yeah.
Are they keeping more? Is the roster numbers going up this year because of the COVID situation? I can't remember.
I don't think so. It's just
I know the practice squad / reserve squad is got like 20 guys on it instead of 12 or whatever.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
So there's going to be more guys like they can, they don't have to let everybody go. And then, so just in case somebody gets gets sick or whatever, they keep bringing guys up. Or if there's a false positive test, like with what's his face Stafford with the Lions this last week. Like if Aaron Rodgers gets a positive test on Sunday morning for a game, he's not supposed to play. So it's kind of like what? Like that's what I'm worried about. It's like what happens if your star quarterback gets a false positive and he's really not, sick.
Right.
But if it's shows up positive, he can't be playing. So I don't know.
Oh, you got Jordan Love.
That's an interesting question for quarterback week is whether or not Love will actually beat out Tim Boyle this year or not. I don't know that he will. Not having a lot of time to learn, so we'll dig into that later. All right, guys. Thanks for all your input. And thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for you in the chat for being active tonight. Good to hear from a bunch of you. Brown, thanks for the nice digs for Eckes. He appreciates that. Any other ones? Let me check if there's one more good one here.
Oh, we all appreciate that.
Ooh, let's see. I don't know. No more. He let you off the hook, Eckes. Eckes, nice shirt. Bruce, great jersey. Johnny Holland, Ben. Take it easy, you guys. Everybody take care. Have a good weekend. We'll catch you next time, okay?
See you, boys.
You guys.